two great things in our business. So when you're ready to move that.
All right. Well, good evening. Made an impact because I can count. How this would help you. All right. Yes, I think so. Okay. Well, we will just spark some discussion, and then maybe with that, Sevlet would put together more comprehensive. You're supposed to fill a barrel in the house, and I remember what I used to do. I used to do mine late in the evening because I couldn't fight. And it's not a very comfortable thing. What it means is that that tank is leaking. Also have an eye on what is coming in, what we are gaining, so that when they were asked a few things to comment about their business, and I have them here. One of them said, well, I've done very well in the past 2 years. Another says, I have more cash now than at any time since I started the business. These conclusions. How they come to these conclusions, and I'm sure we can't do away with that. And the question I'm asking here is that, is it possible to ask for directions when you haven't? You've picked. It's like going to you go to the new plan station or any of those. Therefore, the question is, what specific outcomes do we aim to achieve? To get there. So we need to be clear in our minds what specific. The 4th of April. How many of us have done a review of Q1, January 2 months? Finally, let me ask, how many of us set out into 2014 with a very clear so that we can it's about the destination we've chosen. What it means is that if, let's say, towards the end of last year, you decide you will start off with a plan. that lays out this destination, financial destination that you've built for yourself. Once you've said that you did 100,000 in 2013, looking at things, you can do one. Based on our kind of business. Okay, so then that's review, but we'll come back to that. So that's the point. It been worthwhile for all the efforts, for waking up at 3 a.m. and doing all that you do? You want to ask? Do I need to carry on this business? based on the information you've had, based on the information, and sometimes and perhaps do something else. So sometimes can I carry on? You are supposed to earn something over that. Now, if you've taken that money to invest in a business, together distilled and then put into financial statement that helps us to answer this. That it has been worthwhile. It has been worthwhile. There's a your cash flow, the cash flow situation. So the same financial data can help you acquired value, the statement that helps you to establish that it then is your balance sheet. Okay, so these three, there are others, but these three but there are ways to go about that. There are ways to go about that. So with that information, some money somewhere, which we've used to acquire assets to run the business. Sheet, you will see the where gods, where the money came from, and where it is gone. On that side, where gods, is either your own money that the balance sheet there. The next thing I want I'm doing a very strange G clamp. Okay. And this is a spring, so you can push. And so what it means here is that, well, your revenue, if you are pushing measures only and looking for ways to make sure that cost is within not increase our revenues, and then this gap becomes wider, which means that we're making. Depending on either the service you are providing or the product you are selling. Is gone. They say, oh, you can dial this number and then you. You are moving from cash, materials, labor, finished products, which must be sold. Now, if there is a hitch anywhere here, what is happening is that the process is being slowed down. There are metrics and systems for measuring how fast they look at your statement, they will ask you to bring your statement, they look at it and they see that if I do a pie chart, doing and so on and so forth. It means that circle is not moving. So timing of payments by people who owe you is based on which you've made some projections or you've even borrowed, and that's why borrowing from the banks it takes a lot of time. It means that this cycle will not be as fast. Okay, it will not be as fast. So that is something that we need to. And then we need to. Loan repayments. Sometimes you look at your cash. Say that, look, this is the projection. At this point in time, looking at our cash, we will not be able to make this. Can we reach one gentleman who said, the only problem I have is that every Friday when I lock up, I take a word. If you've done your figures and you know what needs there are and so on, you will not do that. Okay, so the capital that you are working with, that can well stretch you. Of course, some businesses, in fact, almost all businesses have. Another thing that I want to talk about here is something that which you're having in the business, and then your cash flow. It is the yeah. And so on. We are talking about what we call the first cost, which is labor, percentage of your total sales. Okay. All you are saying is that of each CD of sale, this is because when the actual business is, let's say, Sancrete block manufacture, so your cement and profits, the net profit itself also as a percentage of sales to see. All those things give you some indication. But I just want to mention the shrinkage. You want to. And then sometimes you think that when you reduce it and do what we call promotional sales, family where there's a bakery, and what we the kids were doing, you go to the baking room and there's a bag of sugar sitting. In fact, the guy has written a whole book. It's called Sabotage, of what people do. Then what is he saying that I also had my products on the shelf. He hasn't stolen anything. I haven't stolen anything. And all of that, they are not paying anything, so they are using your facility and riding on your back to make money.
a couple of people in this room have suffered that.
Is outside, and I'm converting to, and what I used to you to see how much you are losing as you go on, and something from UK. And when it was at the time, the thing was up. These are basically tidbits that I'm using to provide. Assets and cover your admin costs, and so on. That's the same where gone situation, and that's what I was trying to portray. Okay, basically that. Well, some definitions there. Well, fixed assets, you know what they are. That's those resources that are employed to generate the business income over the period of more than a year. They are not expected. Those resources with short life that are expected to be converted into cash within a year operation, and these are used up. It is medicine to the soul of the business, so that you can keep an eye on the figures. Remember the leaking tank. After all your efforts at filling the barrel, if you wake up in the morning and that barrel has leakages and the water is gone, you've lost out on that. Let's have some discussion.
As a business gain value, as a business owner, at what point should you say, you know what? And we're all emotionally attached to our business. It's an emotional investment. at what point should you really say, you know what, I have to call it quits? And how do you plan for that? Because it shouldn't be something that takes you by surprise. You should be able to say, look, when I get to the point where the business no longer does this,
Environment itself should throw indicators to us. I'll come to our internal, that is if we are doing this. Doing a regular check on the figures. I don't know, okay, I okay, and last year at the same time it was this. Okay, so if we're taking end of Q1 and we is captured and then you have and then so month by month you can see that you are not able to reach the target you yourself have set. Perhaps internally you've done all that you need to do. You've satisfied yourself. You've tested all your assumptions. You've satisfied yourself that you're doing it right. It is just not working because there are externalities that are beyond, and then those things are real. Continuous losses. And you can only see that if the worthwhileness hasn't been worthwhile. This month it wasn't. The next month it wasn't. And
as much as the figures keep going down, we are at this point
have to know the cycles in the business. So if you, exactly what you are saying, if you see that first quarter, and that's why perhaps if you agree that and we're happy about that. Now, what we're saying is that, so if you see a trend where you are not getting that, that's. If you know your business and you know the cycles and you know you are in your cycle, part of your cycle where, say, like the margin that I was talking about. The people in the airline business, they know it's about 5%. Yes, 5%. People in the software, gross margin, 90%. I'm sure you know why. But don't start smiling there. Beyond the gross margin, there are expenses. Okay. That can give us comfort. So those indicators are also very useful. So what I'm saying is that if the indications, even though you have made a projection, you wanted this year, you wanted to go, you have made a projection, but you didn't get there. But looking at the indicators, you are still
That to industry standards,
Yes.
you realize that
Yes.
I'm doing okay.
Yes. But it doesn't have to be aggressive.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt at all. If you have what it takes.
Has it been worthwhile?
Mm-hmm.
You're introducing new products to the market, and then you put in a lot of effort and then a lot of energy, and then the numbers are not showing. Can I carry on doing this? You will believe it.
It's basically a cash situation, okay? Because yes, you may be fortunate, and by virtue of your networks and business acumen, have people giving you credit and so on. But there comes a time when they want their money. Okay, and they want their money. you can't give them excuses. And if the business doesn't have the cash to just pay, so those are it's basically whether you have the cash to pay your obligations when they are due. Okay. And it is not like we said, if you do a that one is constant, you have to pay and so on. So you will see that when those are paid, it's going to give you a negative situation. But that is why you go for overdraft from your bankers. And that's what you project. That's, look, in this quarter, this is the by hand.
Cash flow projections.
Okay, you are doing cash flow projections. So you know in the year, those months where cash will be minimal, and therefore you can begin to talk to your bankers. And so what we do is that because we're not doing those projections, it is when we you don't just put in an application and the next day they are giving you, then you must really be pulling some strings. So if you do that, it gives you the picture and you are able to start the processes of getting something in to tie you up in that trough period.
Have put enough cash to put in more of the products because of the increase.
Okay.
And sometimes too you have excess cash with you, and then there's no demand coming for your product. So you make a projection, but a lot more times it's inconsistent with the actual. So it's a bit difficult also to.
Okay. It's all right. The projections are our plan. It may not be exactly, and that's why the review is quite important. So when we are either doing a monthly the targets, we said we'll do X. Looking at the figure, this is not. We need to double our effort. Salespeople, account receivables, and so on and so forth. Of course, like I said, when you do the cash flow projection, you also project the credit sales as well. Okay, that's what time you expect of those you give credit to what comes, but it doesn't always.
or are not in the finance or accounting field. And so the question is, how much should a non-accounting person or a non-finance person in the business know? Because obviously the other things that they need to do in the business, right? So if they are, what do you call it, running the business, then they have a responsibility to ensure that the business is going to example. The question is, how much should the founder or the one managing the business know to run the business?
Things I'm talking about here that I have done it over the years that is not so technical, and you can then be empowered to ask the right questions. I know one entrepreneur who went and fired his so-called accountant after some of these sessions because he kept asking, give me a 3-month projected cash situation. Understanding of these things so that we can ask the right questions. Okay, but again, for those if you have somebody who has a financial eye, it helps. It helps, but I would say that it pays for you as the owner of the business to have a certain understanding of these things we're talking about, especially because of the environment we're operating in. I mean, there are situations where even the so-called accountant you are relying on is doing you in. Okay, and I've seen that. I've seen that before. Time when he was renting some corner, this guy is already building his house. And it happened only when he constituted he brought a couple of us as friends, constituted a board, and we started looking, because he was doing so well, everybody knew that this is a guy who made the first UPS in Ghana. Can you lift the lid off this? Let's see what is inside. Okay, so because of that, we need to. I believe that you will be able to help with some of the sessions that in one of the business group programs we did when I was at Protect, we had 2 sessions of finance that, but it was over a month. They come in once every month, and then the session is done. But you trust? Some of the horror stories, there's this guy in Jakarta. The trusted person was once given the same key, and in the split moment did copy of the key. So over time, this guy will put money in, he goes back and he sees that some of the money is gone. And our superstitious things, he thought safe, there were two, so well, busy must be some dwarfs. He advised me he was putting some charcoal and things like that. Okay, until the guy got really greedy and one time went for my own sister, Wingro. The guy who takes the money to the bank and makes the payment, at a point, somehow will pay less than was given him, but still come with yes, stamped and all of that. And she was not looking at it. Then, when you are doing these things, then the signal was the guy's lifestyle, saying he was clutching some mobile phones and things, and then he went back to look at it, and then he showed over a period what he was paying in was less. But if you were doing the reconciliations and those things, so that's why I started with the
because this guy obviously forged the duplicate. So
You need trust to do your business. So.
yeah, you do.
he probably forged with the help of the bankers.
Oh, okay.
No.
Or even the things.
Yeah.
No. It's not. Cross-check the amount of money you give him. The stamping is the last thing. Once the stamp is released, they are done. So it's I still want to
There
make
was
the teller.
one that I investigated. When a person, if it's 80,000 for instance, he writes 8. He leaves a space before the comma and add the 0. So it's 8,000 he's paying. Okay. So after he's gotten a copy, he managed to get something on it, and then the count put a 0 back into the position. The paying slip will show 80,000 on a copy that he's taking to the madam, but he's only paid him. But then the challenge is that with SMS notification and all those things, you should, but the woman was never checking.
It wasn't the problem here is that she wasn't checking.
Yeah.
She wasn't really
bank,
checking.
yeah, she'll do the guy is responsible for the bank reconciliation and everything, and he's the one carrying the money.
I think that is what he's saying, that the person was interested.
Yeah, it was easy to find out that it wasn't a real thing. And it came out. And it came out because he saw this change in the guy's outlook and so on and so on. And then
And I think like
certain things that some businesses will do, and I'm sure some of the guys think I'm a bit of a pain. But even the cash, the safe thing,
Yeah.
simple things like weekly cash counts.
Yeah.
So if you are saying that this is what we have, cash we have on hand. Okay, well, every Friday, bring the cash. Let's look at what we have in the books. In there.
Oh, in the week, the guy will take the money out, use it for his own bills, and then Friday, he make sure that the money is back. So just do an unannounced one. If it's regular, just do an unannounced one. That one always.
Yeah.
There was when I was working in the corporation, always. Everyone I did an unannounced one. Then you have the stories
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah.
Always. But when you do it, you're doing the
Waste management company, they had all those tracks and so on. And then it was after some of these sessions that he went back and put some systems. And then he saw a drop. Okay, he saw a drop. So that got him thinking, and then he started asking questions. And being a military guy, he did something. I think that and the guy, the next in command who with the fuel stations is doing this is his in-law. Mary brother. Said he took him to the Bree Hill somewhere there, and then they were standing on the hill, and then he put the if he was doing 2,000, 10,000, the thing had come down to about 4,000 or something like that. You know, but what we are saying is that if you have a system that you will see this in a short time, it will show, and you will begin to ask questions. What is happening?
So, and I think one thing though is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but these systems should come in together.
Yeah.
Because once you do that, then when you're growing,
It follows you.
it follows you, and you're not waiting till, okay, let me wait till I go. Well, by the time you may not even survive. It's like long enough to get to the point where you want to. But then you minimize the leaks.
Yes, that is all. They may change their methods and so on, but it will. Even a simple system of recording complaints from customers. Just complaints, just recording complaints. Over time, you are likely to see a trend. If it's something that is recurring, you will see a trend. Why is this particular complaint? And then you go back to that complaint book. It will throw. So simple things that can help us on it. Some things that will cost us dearly if we wait too long.
The other one is the flip side. Most of the tech people say that the management accountants within the leadership, especially those who know accounting too much, they tend to slow things up in the business. they more often are correct because that aggressive was needed. But I wanted to be a bit more conservative and keep the numbers in check. So how do we balance that?
Yeah, a balance is necessary, but also to borrow from one Michael Gerber, who says that dynamic tension is also needed, where the marketing people are saying this finance overly spend and you are within certain limits. But sometimes that is also necessary in order for something to happen. Okay, so but it comes with you as the owner of a business understanding understanding all the dynamics within that.
Let me just give a typical example so that most of the marketing people would love to push volumes, and so they would like to give some concessions to any customer by giving them some credit terms. But there's this
You have to balance it based on the information you have and what is happening out there in the market. But the good thing is that if you have an eye to see what is happening and to say that okay, if we don't do this, these are the implications, and that's why the regular review sessions with our team is also important. There was something we used to do in Emprotech, our super boss calls it troubleshooter Monday mornings. 30 minutes is over. 30 minutes. But all the heads of department, everybody dreaded that thing because when you get in there, 30 minutes is over. Meeting again, you will not like to go back there and say that last week you said something, so it didn't happen, and then this week too you are good. You will make sure that that doesn't happen. It wasn't even the bosses who were grilling; it was ourselves, because your output depended on somebody's and those interlinkages and so on. So if you made an excuse this week, next week you won't, and it was a way to check, and then the finance guy will also give us like you are saying, the accountant will say, look, our cash situation is this. If we don't and then you can put guys to the task and demand results and so on and so forth. Has it been useful?
Very
Yes. Okay.